Good evening to all of you. And just recently at our board meeting, I realized that there are a lot of you that have joined or were on the board. We talked about the Bayside Regional Park, and some people were not aware of it or hadn't heard an update in a good while. So let me just take about 5 minutes and give you a little history. Several years ago, Stenny Metters knew of this park that was being newly built in Bay Cliff and started talking with them. And the result of that was a partnership with the Galveston County Parks, the Galveston Bay Area Master Naturalist, and our chapter. So this is an aerial view of the area at Bayside Regional Park. As you can tell, there is not much on the ground. It used to be a fish farm, and it was bought by Galveston County. So we kind of laid out the colors that you see are the areas that were given to us. We have a Prairie demonstration garden, which is B, which is the green area. And then we have a pollinator demonstration garden. These are the two we have recently been directing our attention to. Then further back, you will see a big area, C, that's about a ½ an acre of prairie. And that is still in progress. And then at the very back, the long yellow one is the tree area. So we'll talk about that as we go through the slides. This is a book that we used as a guide to create the layers in each zone of the demonstration gardens. Now remember, these demonstration gardens are the ones closer to the front. Patty Pennington spent many hours in July drawing up a plan using plants from a 1974 plant list by Floyd Waller for HL&P at that time. So we were trying to use the plants that were in his plant list. So this is one zone of 4. And then she lined these all out, names and what zones they went in. Were they prairie? Were they in the demonstration garden? Quite a bit of time went into Patty's plan here. So in March of last year, we were awarded a $400 grant from Bring Back the Monarchs to be used for plants and seeds, which we did. And we bought some, but we grew most of them. So over the winter, this is a picture out at the side of my house where a lot of the pots are just sitting, and they were being watered all winter long. So as of now, these plants are all in the ground. All right, so last fall, the county built a bridge across the ditch, put us in a nice concrete, and we asked them to do a curvy sidewalk. And we had herbicided the edges of that, and they ended up filling it with sand. So sort of the basics were there. You can see in the back, the poles kind of are outlining the ½ acre. All right, and so we ordered 24 cubic yards of mulch, and Stenny Metters was out there when they delivered, so she had them dump it in smaller bits and pieces along the edge. And so then we had small groups of people working over a couple of days' time. We had collected newspaper and cardboard over the winter. So we put that down on the ground. Before that, we put down a whole bunch of alfalfa horse pellets into the ground, and then covered that with the cardboard and the newspaper, and then the mulch. And then this is the, well, it looks like half of it's done along the sidewalk. The other half is not done, but this was photo time for the workers. All right, so this is when it was finished with the mulch. You don't see the cardboard anymore. So A is the pollinator demonstration side, and B is the Prairie demonstration garden. And then we had to have a sign. So this is what has been there really since last fall. The county also agreed to put some lines, some underground PVC in for our water faucets. So this is just kind of showing you where our water faucets are. And then over the winter, Scott Buckle did some investigation into cover crops. And so he ended up purchasing some seeds to experiment in the half-acre site. And some of those came up and some of them didn't. So we still have some planning to do on the half-acre site. So I applied again for Bring Back the Monarchs for the grant. I honestly did not expect them to grant us a second year, but I thought, well, they can always say no. And they did give us a second grant this year. So we have $400 now that we can spend for plants and our seeds. All right, so in late February, early March, Bev Morrison had contacted Trees for Houston, and they brought us out some trees free as long as volunteers would plant them. So Bev headed up a planting day. So here are two of the examples. There's a fringe tree, an American fringe tree on the left, and I believe that's an oak tree on the right. And then just recently, we had planned a planting day. And so this is Patty's plan. This is her notebook with all her stuff in it. And she's lining out where all of these plants are going to go, or at least the ones in gallons that we're going to plant, exactly where they're going to go. So this is the day before the planting. She had brought several loads. I took a load. Jim Duran had brought a load. And so we had them all laid out inside the maintenance fence in zones. And so this was right before we left. We watered them all well. This was last Friday. And we had some volunteers that came Friday and some that came Saturday. All of the plants had been laid out in the area where they needed to be. And so these people came with their nice little hand trowels and dug down through the mulch, and we put in a little extra soil and goodies to give them a head start. Hopefully, that's going to work. We'll see. And so this was, as they were finished planting for the day, this is certainly not all of the plants, but this is our first installation. So this was taken after we finished Saturday. And there will be more times to plant, and there will be many more plants to grow. So if you want to volunteer to do either of those in the future, just let us know.
Thank you, Martha. That was fascinating. I have a question. First of all, can you tell me the connection with HLMP? That just kind of piqued my curiosity when you mentioned somebody at HLMP.
Yeah, they were putting in some plants. HLNP, what would you call them? I don't mean growing plants. I mean HLNP water, some sort of big installation. I'm not sure what was going on there, but they had a plant survey done before they built. And I'm not sure they built right in that area. I think there was an HLNP facility maybe down the road a bit. Yeah.
And one more question. How many plants did you plant on Saturday and Sunday, the group?
Ooh, only Patty could answer that question. She has documented every plant that went in the ground, and I don't know the total number that we put in.
About 350.
What does the alfalfa pellets do?
It is a nitrogen source.
Oh,
Organic nitrogen, rather than using 1300.
Okay, great.
Thank you again. And that was really just amazing to see from, nothing to something. It's just, I know it's a lot of hard work that came into that. I'm just so amazed at the color-coded notebook that Patty has. That's just, very impressive. All the work is very impressive, and it looks like a lot of great people out there, and we'll enjoy seeing it develop, and hopefully we'll get some of our members out there to help with planting.